Good afternoon, folks, and it's great to see so many people assembled round the GP paddock. The weather gods have been great to us this weekend. We've had a fabulous time here at the paddock, and we're going to finish on a high. We've seen so many bikes over the weekend. We've had a fantastic interview with John Kaczynski, who's been a wonderful guest of honour. And now we're going to finish with a cacophony of sound at the end of this session as a tribute to the late Phil Reid. And I think anybody who ever saw Phil Reid race will appreciate his pedigree and everything that he achieved. And I suppose it's quite poignant that Phil was here at the GP paddock back in April this year. And he wasn't very well at the time, but he was still determined to turn up. So Neil Brailsford and Alex George are going to tell us a bit about their experiences with Phil and what they know about him. And then we're going to get on to looking at one or two of the bikes individually, and then we're going to have an absolute cacophony of sound from all the big four-strokes and noisy two-strokes, and of course the triple lads here in the corner with the Rocket 3s and the Tridents. They always add a bit of spice to the noise that we create. Now there is a warning board over there saying please be aware that there could be some noise, but I get the feeling that's exactly why people are here. It's for the noise. Would that be right? Yep. It's one thing looking at these bikes and admiring them, but it's not until they're fired up that you can really get the full appreciation of the engineering, the speed that they attained, and in many cases the fame that some of these models have, and how well the people that have them in their possession look after them. They really are a credit to people. So it's a big thank you to everybody that's supported the GP paddock. I'm going to ask Neil if he would step round here for a moment and tell us about your, not just knowledge of Phil Reid and his career, but your actual connection. You knew Phil Reid. And as well, where's Alex?
He's over there, hiding in the corner.
Will you come and join us as well, please, Alex? No, I know you're shy, but you're going to have to get used to it and get over it. Just come and join us. Because Alex George knew a bit about Phil Reid as well. But we'll kick off with some interesting information from Neil about Phil. Thanks, Neil.
Yeah, thanks very much, John. Well, Phil Reid, we all know him. Phil started racing in the very early 60s on a BSA Gold Star. Not particularly exotic, but he certainly started to show his talent and his skills. 8 times world champion, 8 times TT winner, winner of 54 Grand Prix. These are amazing statistics. I don't think we see many people who can equal those sort of things. Phil always did it his own way. Phil was not known for suffering falls easily, but by goodness he could ride, and he could show it every time. He rode for some of the best teams ever. He rode for Honda, along with Alex and others. He rode for MV, Suzuki, all sorts of wonderful bikes in his day, and he certainly was a very, very fast rider. I was in business with Phil. We have a venture going with Yamaha in Japan, and even today when we were having teams meeting with Yamaha Japan, incredibly sort of 13 or 12 very, very high ranking Yamaha officials will be on that meeting. That's the presence that Phil still demanded today with people like Yamaha. He gave Yamaha their first TT win, their first World Championship. He was also, I think, the first guy to have 3 World Championships, 125, 250 and 500, all in the same year. So these are wonderful, wonderful achievements. Alex, your thoughts?
Yeah, who actually seen Phil racing live? Come on then, show me. Not enough. Need some more. Oh yeah, another 2 there. 5. Right, well, when you've seen him live, you'll know what we're talking about. Very calculating man on a motorbike, and such a talent. You get them all going into the corners and you would see who's working, who's not working. He just had that ability to read it. Hayward as well, of the same ilk, that they could read the race. And it would be a case of not, you see it nowadays, they get the quick guys and go whoosh, and it's gone and it's done with. Then it was a case of entertaining everyone that you would have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 guys all very, very close together. And then the winners with the last couple of laps would pull out, and Phil had that ability along with Hayward and a whole lot of other guys, you know. As a man, yeah, you had to admire him. Try and think of someone who could get those championships now. 125cc, the 125.4s, the 254s, which are basically savage things. You were on them and then you were off them, and the first that and the 500s as well, you know. So, and 750s, don't forget the 750s.
Of course.
Yeah, he's good on 750s as well. So a top man, top bloke. I raced with him in Grand Prix. I raced with him in internationals. I raced with him in classic racing as well, like we're doing here, you know. And I mentioned it yesterday that we were at Scarborough, and it was a bit of a do or die thing, you know. He and I were together, and we were exchanging places and so on and so forth. And would he give up? Would he? Hell, just kept on going. And at the end, up at Memorial Corner, which is up on top of the circuit, the last thing I seen was disappearing way that way through the hedges. And I went, okay, I can slow down now. That's him done with, not a chance. Half a lap later, he's back again. So I said, okay, fine, you can have it, go ahead. And it came back to the paddock. Same old Phil, same old Phil. Yeah, how'd you beat there? How'd you beat there, boy? I went, no, I let you win. Well, that just enraged him then. But lovely guy. On the one hand, on the other hand, yeah, difficult to go on with, as most superstars are. I mean, I'm the same, you know. I'm modest and I'm kind, but I'm also, you know, I can be up there among the best. But yeah, it's a tense situation. You're doing this job for a living, like 7 days a week. Phil started off the same as we all did, you know, on Nortons and 7Rs and G50s and that sort of thing, and worked his way up through the ranks. And we had a few run-ins over the years, but that's by the by. You don't talk about them now, except for to mention them. But highly respected on the continent, because it was where he spent a lot of his time. We went to Dijon in France a couple of years back, and the people were just like you guys here now, but like tenfold, you know. Just to see the guy, just to buy his caps. And no discount, no discount. He'd have paid the full price. But that's who the man he was. He brought championships back to the UK, and yeah, let's go on. He brought world championships back to the UK, provided a huge amount of entertainment for all of us, including us all here. And I take my hat off to the man, and I miss him.
Lovely. Thank you for that, Alex. I can see that obviously you're a wee bit emotional there, which is perfectly understandable. And thanks also, Neil, for giving us a wee insight to your knowledge of the great Phil Reid. So, onward and upward with these lovely Ducatis. Martin, I'm right in thinking that you're the man that's going to tell us about those, or is it going to be Neil or Martin? Oh, you're doing the job now. Well done.
Tired of hearing him talk.
Martin, you've got a trio of absolutely fabulous looking Ducatis there.
Well, what we've done, thought we'd bring in our three Ducatis got with us today to show you the progression. So this little one on the end there is from the 1960s. It's a Ducati 350 in no case in a Saxon frame. Then we've got in the middle here is an 860 bevel from the 70s, and then on the end here is a 750 TT2 from the early 80s. And there's barely 20 years of progression between those three bikes. And you can see the lineage there. You can see the 350 on the end is a single cylinder with bevel gears, and you can see the big V-twin is bevel gears there, and then it's gone to the big V-twin with cam drive and overhead cam and belt drive, sorry. You know, so you can see the lineage there, but it's amazing that in just 20 years it went from that.
Yeah, it is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, further on, as you say, 20 years after that, you had the 916.
Yes.
You know, well, less than 20 years. And,
yeah.
You know, Carl Fogarty dominating in that.
Of course. And tell me, did any of these bikes get raced? I know that you race other bikes, but do you race any of the Dukes?
Don't race the Dukes. The 350, as much as I love riding it, I weigh more than a bike. So, yeah, and it's cruelty to a bike. So, I'll have a little fun on that, parade it, but don't race it. The big bevel we use on the road as well as on the track, and the TT2 gets used a lot. That both Dad and Alex ride that one at the minute. It's got the 9 on it because Alex was riding it last Croft 2 weeks ago. So they all get used regularly and that, but these ones aren't actually raced, just paraded.
Is Alex kind to the bike?
No. If he hasn't broke it when he's come back, he feels he's failed.
Oh, right. Well, it'd be interesting to hear Well, it'd be interesting to hear the different sounds from the different bikes over the 20 years that they were created. So are we going to hear all three of these bikes fired up?
Yeah, so we're going to start them all. We're going to start the 350 first, and then we'll start the 860 in the middle, and then finish on the big 750 bevel.
Well, I think, well, what do you think, folks? Are we going to listen to these bikes? Do we want to hear these Ducatis? Let's hear you. Yeah, come on then, let's go for it, guys. Let's get that lovely 350 fired up. Thank you very much, Martin, thank you. Alex is going to chip in here.
I won the Scottish Championship in a 250 Ducati in a long time ago. And I mean a long time ago.
And there's Chris with his solo starter. Very good, fantastic folks, that sounded superb, a really lovely little bike, no doubt about it. Alex, quickly talking, how similar was your Ducati? I know that's a 350, but yours was a 250.
Mine's 250, yeah.
Yeah.
We built it out of a Mach 1, Daytona was the first one, which had a 4-speed gearbox. And then I think we robbed one off of somebody for a 5-speed gearbox and moved that way. Yeah, great little bikes, very reliable. Didn't rev that high, but they were really good thing to ride. And as a training bike coming up through the ranks into more big stuff, you know, Maxes and G50s and all the rest of that stuff, yeah. Wonderful wee thing.
Lovely, well now we've got a totally different sounding bike, I would imagine, this lovely V-twin, and Martin's going to fire it up.
He hopes. Hopefully. Oh, that's a fail.
Thank you very much, Martin. That's a rare sound as well. Big cheer for the V-twin. Oh, wow. Big round of applause for Alex and the wonderful Ducatis. Thank you, Martin and Neil. You've brought some wonderful bikes as always, and that trio of Ducatis surely is the cream of today. They really are wonderful. Now, we've enjoyed the sound of the Rorty 4-strokes. We're now going to have the privilege to hear Alf Mosel's 500 Suzuki, and it's a totally different kettle of fish, but equally impressive. So Alf and Ian are just going to bring the bike out. Ian's got the same model himself. 750. Here was me saying 500. I do stand corrected. I hate getting corrected by Alex. It's murder, I really do. Don't mind being corrected by anybody else, but by Alex George. Anyway, this 750. Come and tell us about it, Alf. Tell us all about this splendid looking bike.
Yeah, well, it's a replica, obviously.
Yeah.
Can't afford a real one.
No, as a matter of interest, how much would a real one cost?
Probably in the 70s more.
Yeah, yeah. Have a word with Alex.
He's probably got one at home.
Yeah.
Well, we wrote that one Daytona, didn't we?
Yeah.
Which was number 9. It was actually, they said, I said, we want number 9, because we're all break number 9. And the American guy said, and no disrespect to John Krasinski or anyone else, they said, well, sir, you can't have number 9. We have our rider Gary Nixon using it.
All right.
So we ended up using 333, and that was the number of the bike.
Oh, brilliant. Anyway, Alf, this lovely replica of the big Suzuki, tell us a bit about it.
Well, it's a replica of a 1972 one, basically, which was the first year they raced them at Daytona. First year they built them. It's built, obviously, from an original kettle, which the bikes were anyway, a GT 750. It's a standard frame. Part of it is a standard frame, which we extensively modified. Pretty much cut all the top loops off and everything to get the shape of what the factory bike was, just for appearances. I mean, I basically made everything for it, looking at the photos, you know, the tank, the seat, there's an oil tank in the seat, it's an aluminium seat. Engine's fully tuned. You know, wore a couple of Dremels out doing the engines. So it's full TR spec, as it would have been back then.
And back then, Alf, at Daytona, with big fast bank circuit, what would the top speed be of?
We were clocked at 175 at Daytona.
Wow.
But that was when they were using the banking.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they just had a little infield section. Yeah, Barry's big crash.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, Barry Sheen's big crash, yes. We all remember that.
Yeah, that's sort of it really. I mean, it's got a close ratio gearbox, obviously trig ignition and things.
And I was talking when Ian had the bike out there yesterday about the exhaust.
The routing of the exhaust. That was a nightmare to do that one. But,
did you make the exhaust?
Well, a guy called Dave Swarbridge supplies all the cones and everything, and the headers. And then you've got to make them fit, basically. So you just get a box of cones and away you go. I mean, it took me quite a while to get that top one to.
Yeah, it's a technical challenge, that.
Because it's the outside cylinder, so it's down under the engine, inside the fairing, up and over.
Oh, it's a fabulous looking bike. There's something about that era of big two-strokes.
When you watch videos of Daytona back in the early 70s, all the Triumphs and PSAs, Kawasaki, Suzuki's.
Some of our favourite bikes, the whole...
Yeah, fantastic era.
It's going to sound different to those Dukes, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
So maybe it's time for us to get it fired up.
Okay, yeah, Ian's going to fire up.
Is Ian going to do that?
Yeah, I've recently had a hip replacement. So
right.
I'm a bit wobbly at the moment. Yeah.
Was that easier than the exhaust for the guy that did the hip replacement?
Yeah, I think it was, He did it quicker than I did the exhaust, that's for sure.
Excellent. So let's hear it.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Alf.
Chris? Careful with your ears.
Yes, we're all. It is a noisy one, yes.
Put it straight on the stand here in case you can't get. Okay.
superb. Thank you, Alf and Ian. Big round of applause, folks, for that fabulous big Suzuki. It certainly does make an impression. Fantastic. Now, we're going to listen to another two-stroke in a moment. It's a smaller capacity one, but they were a great bike in their day, and it's that little Rotax over there that belongs to Les Cross. Les, come and join us. You've often been in this GP paddock, Les, with quite a variety of bikes. You've given us a great opportunity to enjoy your bikes, and you've always got a good story to tell about how they came to be and what you've done to them. So we want to hear. The Rotax is not as famous as some marks, but it was definitely a quick bike in its day, wasn't it?
Yes, there was. Yeah. The Rotax is a tandem twin, hence the cylinders are in line down the chassis, whereas the Yamahas were across the chassis. One of the disadvantages of that was the size of the transfer ports you could have between the cylinders, which obviously tandem you can have them as big as you like. It also is disc valve induction. This particular bike was ridden by Peter Hubbard in Grand Prix. Personally, I don't know a great deal about it, never rode it, but it's sort of, there was on about the progression of the Ducatis. Well, it was exactly the same with the two-strokes. They started off air-cooled and was forever seizing up, so they water-cooled them, which did away with that problem. And a good 250 back in the 70s were probably making 50 brake horse, 55 brake horse. That makes 80.
Oh, wow.
And so it's quicker than the 350s were in the day. The TZ 350s, there's one over there, which was the bike to have. They dominated all racing. They were winning 750 races and the whole lot because they had 351. Well, they were supposed to be, but most of them were 350s. Yeah, and the two-stroke, which are magic, right? You don't, these four-strokes, they've got loads of bits churning about inside, doing the best to get out. Well, you haven't got that, you know, you just got a few holes and a bit of fuel and away you go, haven't you, right? You know, so.
Yeah, there's going to be a riot here, Les.
Yeah.
They're going to be after you, these guys, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a few four-strokes, but I do prefer the two-strokes, so. Yeah.
And was this a bike you wanted to have in your collection, the Rotax?
No, not really. I just sort of conned into it. Right over there. Yeah. No, but I hadn't got a tandem twin, and I always liked them and watched them racing back in the daylight. And they have lovely sounding engine, mechanically they're nice, so you know, why not?
Yeah. Well, I'm with you on two-strokes and four-strokes. I like them equally, so
yeah.
I'm as perfectly happy to hear that as I would be the Tridents and the Rocket 3s, because to me they're all fabulous motorcycles. So yeah, no, it's a fact. We have to feel sorry for people that don't like two-strokes. They should go. If they could manage to get a doctor's appointment, they should go and see a doctor, eh? And get some help for that. Anyhow, has it got a nice little rip to it?
Yes, it does. Jay will fire it up. And
well, Les, thanks again, because you go to great efforts to bring bikes for us to enjoy, and you've done it once again. So tell me, will you be putting on the racing leathers next year?
no, I've given that up. Like the ACU won't give me a licence any longer. So
Really?
yeah, well, I went for my eye test because when I turned 70, and the guy doing it said, "Oh, no, you can't pass that test." He said, "You can ride an Arctic lorry, no further at all, but you can't ride that bike."
Well, there you go. That tells you something, eh?
It's good, isn't it? Apparently the criteria for the eye test for the ACU licence is the same as a fighter pilot in RAF.
Really?
So yeah.
No. But in spite of not riding anymore, you're still going to enjoy your bikes?
Oh yes. Yeah.
Okay, well let's have a big hand for Les and let's enjoy his Rotax, his fairly rare Rotax clean here. Thanks, Les. for that fabulous sounding Rotax. It might only be a 250, but it sounds a pretty powerful piece of kit, Les. Thank you for bringing that. Well, the excitement just carries on here at the GP paddock. We're now going to have a look at another two-stroke. It was in the paddock earlier today, and it's again quite a rare machine in terms of the number that were made, and not nearly as plentiful as Suzuki's and Yamahas and Hondas, but it's a Maxton, and we're going to get Simon to come and tell us about this Maxton, because he bought it not intending to race it, but now he is racing it, and he's been enjoying himself. Simon, tell us about the wee Maxton.
Well, racing and wobbling around a bit, but I had a smile on my face anyway. Yeah, well, the Maxton, this is a Phil Miller Maxton. These were built for the TZ350s. There's a bit of history on the bike. I don't know a great deal, but before I had it, I've had it 2 years, and Jamie O'Brien sponsored on the bike. He's won the Belgian TT on this one. Tango Gee, Cooksdown. He won't come on the mic, he's a bit shy. But yeah, he went well on this. And my old man used to race back in the 70s. And if you won I think it was a BP challenge back then, you used to get the BP colours and a bit of sponsorship from BP. So on 78, they had the BP livery and they ended up with a Maxton. He actually couldn't ride it. But anyway, it didn't go as well on the Maxton as it did on the Yamaha frame, but anyway, it's still a beautiful looking bike, so I thought, I fancy a bit of that.
Let's have it.
And it's so it's a 350G, and yeah, it's my little toy. Thanks to the Windy Shed Classic boys, they're the ones that helped me out with this. They built it for me, so yeah, it's a cracking little bike.
And tell us a bit about your racing, because Simon, you said you hadn't intended to race, but you have been.
Yeah, well, obviously, I've always wanted to race, but never really got around to it, to be honest. And changed my job through COVID, and ended up being at home. I used to work away a lot, but ended up being at home, and I thought, I need a hobby. So, I don't think I'm going to go playing football, do you? So I thought, well, I might as well jump on a race bike and do a bit of parading. So I bought the bike, did a year of parading, and I thought, I want to go a bit faster if I can. And yeah, so I've already done 3 meetings, so I donned the orange jacket and took her out, and yeah, it's been good. I've enjoyed it.
So you're looking forward to next season?
I am, but obviously, let's see how many tyres and stuff I can get off Jamie for now, or for next to now, and any cylinders here and there and whatever. But yeah, let's see. But takes a bit of fettling in the 350. But like you say, the Windy Shed Classic boys, they've been brilliant with me, helping me out. So if anybody needs anything doing, doesn't need to be a 2-stroke, or it could be a 4-stroke, it could be any classic bike really.
Well, that's a great bit of press for your friend, but it's deserved. And Simon, that's great. You've brought along another piece of history. So let's hear it fired up, if you would. Thanks, Simon. Let's have a big round of applause for the lovely Maxton and the great sound that it makes. Yet another enjoyable bike to see and hear. and to find out about. So thanks again. Now the variety here at the GP Paddock just continues, and we're now going to ask Brian Chapelhouse to come and tell us about these two bikes, and they certainly look pretty impressive. And I remember all the pictures of the TT Marshalls in the Motorcycle News back in the day, and this looks like a fine example of the bike. And of course we've got Slippery Sam here as well. So Brian, I'm familiar with you and your lovely Trident over there, but tell us a bit about these two bikes.
Well, Triumph built 4 of those Marshall's bikes back in '69 and '70 that looked like that, and indeed the early Sam had that type of fork and brake and stuff on until the discs cascaded down, etc., and they changed them. And then 3 of the Marshall's bikes, as the road bikes, were developed with discs and alloy forks like this one. They were fitted with those, so there's only one that's still, all of them still exist. One of them is in the north of England, owned by a farmer, and it's pretty poor condition now because he left it to go to hell. Yeah,
that's a bit of a shame.
I saw them back in the day, and I had one exactly the standard road bike like that, and I always fancied one, but I fancied the road north even more, so I built that one first nearly 50 years ago, and this one came into my possession in 2015, and it was just a rust bucket, and it belonged to a 92-year-old guy who bought it new in '73, and he rode it for 4 years, and he was tiny, and eventually he couldn't start it. He must have been 55 by then, and he couldn't start it, so he just put it in the shed, and it was just rotted and seized, etc. And that's when I got it. But the thing was, it had done less than 1,000 miles, so it wasn't messed about. It was seized, etc. But there was nothing damaged on it, you know. So I rebuilt it to that spec and got a Fontana brake from Andy Molnar, and it's an 850 Carrillo steel conrods megacycle cam. So it's about half race. So it's quicker than the original, which was just a carefully put together 750. This one belongs to Robbie. I think he should come and tell you about that because he knows more about it than I do.
Yes, come and join us and tell us a bit about that. Brian, thank you very much. Now, I know you love your Trident over there, but this is a credit to you as well. And when Brian says he restored that bike, he's not been totally honest about the one over there, because he actually built it from scratch, everything on that Trident. So that's a credit to your engineering skills, Brian. Anyway, let's hear about Slippery Sam. And Slippery Sam's something that Alex George knows about, and you can tell us a bit about it as well.
I bought the bike as you see it. I didn't build it like that. The last owner of it, a guy called Mike Morris, put it into that condition, but it's the closest you could get to the original as regards a replica. And all the Slippery Sam replicas now, there's the original that was destroyed in the museum fire, as you know. So all Slippery Sams now are replicas. It's been through Les Williams' workshop a few times, had every modification, everything lightened, balanced, polished, as far as it could go. The frame was altered by Martin Russell, an ex-BSA man. The petrol tank was built by Don Woodward, who built the original Slippery Sam tank. It's got Rob North yokes on it. The discs look odd, with the legs like the discs, the calipers backwards and forwards, but that's how it was on the original Slippery Sam. It's been autographed by every rider that rode it, except for Dave Croxford, and I'm waiting for him to turn up one day so we can autograph it.
That would be good.
And Alex George probably knows more about the reason for the name Slippery Sam than I do. Alex, if you'd like to come over and have a word. And it's the most famous production TT bike of all time, and Alex George held the lap record in 1975, Alex, was it? When you had your last win with Dave Croxford, a 10-lap TT.
10 laps of the TT.
10 laps. Over to Alex.
10 laps of the TT, that's a bloody long way. Yeah, it's a great bike. We when Les came to me, who was it? No. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "Yeah, that'll do." And he said, "We've got a little surprise for you." I went, "Oh yeah, what's that then?" He says, "You've got to run it with someone else." I said, "Well, how long's the race?" He said, 10 laps. I went, "Christ." So anyway, Dave Croxford, or Crockett as we know him by, he was signed up as well, and I gave him a little warning before the race. I said, if you, because he was known as Crash at Croxford, wasn't he? Oh, Crash at Croxford. There's a fence, go through it, bosh, no problem. Great guy, hell of a funny. And that was the deal. I said to him, if you crash this bike when I'm not on it, I said, I personally will kill you. Fortunately, he didn't crash it. He rode bloody well, actually. And we managed to win the race. The name Slippery Sam came from the actual description of the bike. Percy Tate and one of the other guys were riding it for the French team at the Ball d'Or. And it sprung a leak somewhere, and the oil was all down Percy's leathers and everything else. And everyone who knew Percy will tell you he wasn't a man of many words. And the name Slippery Sam was born from that. They asked him, the importer said, if you can rejoin the race and keep on going to the finish, we can get a good result and get plenty of TV time. And there's a big bonus in it for you. Well, Percy wakened up there and he said, bonus? Yes, I'll have some of that. And away they went, and they won the race. And the name Slippery Sam was stuck from there, because I say, when it stopped, there's a big puddle of oil underneath it. And that was the sign for being a Triumph or a BSA. There's a big puddle of oil under it. So Slippery Sam it was, and Slippery Sam it stays. And we rode this one, or the real one anyway. And yeah, a joy to ride. Frank Perez, who was the team manager, who was also a Grand Prix rider, he came up and he said, it was a spare day for me in the TT, because we used to ride all the classes. And he said, Alex, dear boy, they spoke with him, could you do me the favour? I went, yeah. Could you ride a bike for us? I said, yeah, no problem. What kind of bike? I tried, and I went, oh, geez, oil, did you think of the same thing? And we got introduced to Les, and he talked to Les and so on and so forth. We'd done one lap on the bike. This is before the race. We'd done one lap on the bike, brought it back in, I adjusted a couple of things, and done one more lap, and that was it. We'd done the race with the same tyres on it for the 10 laps, and so on and so forth, checking the oil, and so on and so forth. And the thing ran like clockwork. It really did. And many years later, we were at Cadwell Park. This is the last story. And Les, it's a Triumph Owners Club Day, or Bizumph as they call it, BSA Triumph Bizumph. And they said, oh, well, Les and I had a checklist. They said, okay, what are you going to do? Oh, tyres, yep. It's like oil, yep. Plugs, yep. Battery, yep. Fuel, yep. Tyres, yep. And I said, well, what do you mean, yep? They said, well, you should know, you were the last person to ride them. And this was like sort of God knows how many years later. And I rode around Cadwell Park, and it was like riding on a needle, you know. But they came back, So you want to last for a long time, get some TT100s. And that's where the advert for the TT100 came from that and from Percy Tate and so on. And Malcolm Uphill was the first guy to do it. So wonderful bike, and you could take that now, and I'm serious, you could take that now and bar a few tweaks, go to the Isle of Man, 10 laps, and all you got to do is put fuel in it. Brilliant.
Thank you, Alex. It's great to hear this from somebody who was involved in the day and knows a bit about it, so thanks. So, we've enjoyed hearing about them, we now want to just hear them.
Crack them up, boys.
Now, this kickstart, this technique you've got for kickstarting it is pretty impressive, because it's never failed so far. Oh dear, should I have said that?
This is the genuine non-electric start version. You got this one? 3, 2, 1. Yay!
Well, thank you guys, that really is fabulous, and thanks to everybody who started the bikes up for us here. Thanks to all you good people round the paddock here for coming and supporting us. We've had a wonderful weekend in the GP paddock and in the show generally, with John Kaczynski here to entertain us and tell us his history. And we're going to finish on a high here, along with the great weather we've enjoyed, and we're going to have a 2-minute rev up as a tribute to the late Phil Reid. We've heard all about Phil recently, so it's a huge thank you to everybody who's brought a bike here this weekend and supported the GP paddock. It's an even bigger thank you to you people round about supporting us. Thank you once again for coming to the GP paddock in Stafford. We'll be back in April next year, and let's finish on a real high note with a cacophony of noise from these fabulous bikes. Alex, would you like to say one more thing?
Yes, just briefly on Phil's story. Mortons have produced a photograph book which can be ordered via post or via the Morton stand inside the main building, and it's full of photographs and history about Phil. I think it's a tenner. You can order it now. It's due for printing any day now, and well worth having. It'll be a souvenir to keep forever. Thanks very much.
And one final thing, a big thank you to Chris here at Solo Motorcycle Starters, to Steve here who keeps the paddock running smoothly, and to Dick, wherever he is. Where's Dick? Thanks to these guys, without them we couldn't do it either. And I'd like to quickly mention, there's a kind of special bike here, an NR 750 Honda. Fairly rare, not many of them around. These two Hondas are utterly fabulous, and that lovely one, the NR 750, there are only about 280 made, and it belongs to Mick there, so thanks for bringing that in, Mick. So let's go, guys. Oval pistons, of course.